Resign. This is some of the comments I'm receiving. Resign. Deno from Kapsabet Nandi says simply, we still need him. Let him resign. After all, no one among them is clean. That's one of the other comments we've just received, including one more where we say, or rather Kenyans say, we still need him. Let him resign. After all, no one among them is clean. I think I read that one. Moore says DP should not be impeached. Someone else says wait for impeachment. So the jury's out there on whether the deputy president should resign or wait for this whole impeachment process to be concluded. Remember, as we mentioned earlier, it's a lengthy political process which will start at the National Assembly. The National Assembly has approximately 7 days to finish off with this matter. Then they will move on to the Senate, where the Senate should convene within 7 days after Tuesday, and where they will canvass the issues raised, and finally they will vote on whether to impeach or not. So it's definitely a lengthy process, and we'll keep you updated, trust you me, on this whole debacle as we continue monitoring the developments right here on KTN. Okay, remember earlier on we had hinted that we'll have a discussion with two fairly learned gentlemen, Dr. Barak Muluka, political scientist, and Dr. Martin Olo, political analyst. Barak Muluka is already in studio on time as always. Karibu sana, Daktari. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. It's also a pleasure to be here.
Well, we're having this conversation at a time where there's political heat in the country. So we definitely need sound analysis, and that's why we brought you on. We asked our viewers whether the deputy president should wait for this whole impeachment process to be finalized, or should he resign? Bearing in mind, if he's impeached with finality and the courts don't revert that particular decision, well, his political career will be done as is. What's your take on that?
Yes, not just his political career, but the possibility of serving in a public office, any other public office will go into the doldrums. But it all depends on what the deputy president would like as the end game, whether he wants it to be more not just about himself, but about others as well. If he wants to leave to fight some other day, then he resigns. If he wants to go down with others, then he remains. He remains in the sense that a lot of dirt may come out in the wash during the moments when he's given the opportunity to defend himself. A lot more dirt comes out of the wash in the post-impeachment process, because it does appear really that he's got the chance of the snowball in hell. And if he wants to look like somebody who is more sinned against than sinning, then he must brave it up to the very end, after which he could then go back to the mountain. And you have seen the signs that already there are people who are feeling aggrieved alongside him, and he needs to just stay the course and get impeached. Then he will be able to demonstrate that he was more sinned against than sinning. And by that token, Dr. William Ruto's goose in the mountain is cooked.
Is it really? Because, I mean, there are some foot soldiers who will still stick with the president.
It is cooked.
Yes.
Jesse, there is a whole wide bath between what the political class is saying on the one hand and what the people on the ground are saying on the other hand. And the two should not be conflated. And 3 years is a long time. Regarding Gachagua, whether he runs for office again or not, will go to the mountain. He'll have all the time to muddy the waters. And believe you me, it's not just Dr. Ruto's goose that is going to be cooked in the mountain. It is the geese of all these other people who are from the mountain and who are rooting for the downfall of Riggy. They will go alongside Ruto within the mountain, but Ruto may find traction elsewhere in the country to replace the mountain. However, his soldiers within the mountain will go.
Well, they'll be facing the chopping block. Interesting analysis. Allow me to equally introduce Dr. Martin Ulo, who's joining us as well. Karibu sana, Daktari. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, Jesse Rogers.
Thank you for your time.
Asante sana.
Ah, yeah, so
good to catch up with this bearded friend of mine.
Welcome.
So, Olo, there's a saying that those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. It seems Kenya did not learn from history, because what we're seeing right now is a little bit too familiar in the previous dispensation, where the president and the deputy were at loggerheads. The only difference is, this time round, President William Ruto has marshaled his troops to impeach the deputy president. In the previous dispensation, former President Uhuru Kenyatta did not take such a step, despite the working relationship not really working. What's your take?
Jesse, we are being very consistent. There's nothing we are not learning. This is us. The presidency and the deputy presidency do not cohabit for long. Their relationship is so short-lived. Their romance or bromance is so short-lived. Whether you're looking at Jomo Kenyatta and Jaramogi, Murumbi, Moi, perhaps a bit because of settlements in Rift Valley. Generally, Moi had Kibaki, had Karanja, had Saitoti. He just asked sometime that you think by appointing Saitoti, there will be food on your table. Uhuru, the same. And of course, even Kibaki and Kalonzo thought they were going to give him that thing. He was abandoned. So generally, we are consistent. We are ourselves, my friend. This is us. Fights between the president and the deputy, or incongruence between them, is the stuff of life, particularly because the president is a king, and the king does not like another king. There can only be one king in this country.
So no two centers of power. Still with you, Olo, because the DP has always sung the song of the mountain. When Gachagua was brought into the Kenya Kwanza administration, he was not brought because of his strength in fighting corruption. He was brought because of his ability to marshal numbers in the mountain. What exactly has he done wrong from where you sit?
Absolutely nothing. In fact, if you look at the impeachment charges, he has said, you know, this government is a government of shares. What's wrong with that statement? He has simply said, you see, depending on how we come into it and what interests we bring, this is how we organize government. When William Ruto was with Uhuru, he reminded him that, you know, we brought this thing, so mine is 50, yours is 50. So this concept of sharing and this concept of winner take it all is a concept that's embedded in our politics. So when even now, the alliance of ODM and UDA is about shares. It's not about Kenya. No. It's like, you come here, let's sit in this corner, let's have our cake, and let the others, you know, Uhuru was saying that, sisi tunakula nyama, na wengine wananusa harufu tu. So it's about shares. It's about us holding on to this. In other words, we are far from building a national project, and we are far from building a nationhood. When Mwai Kibaki was the vice president, he spent all his time in Othaya, and he was okay. People say he's there. He didn't have any apologies about it. Basically, we need to accept that we are a country that, let's not try and run away from who we are. This is who we are.
So in short, you're saying Gachagua is a true example or the true character of our politics, that at the end of the day, politics is local, and most, if not all, leaders run to their tribal cocoons when the rain starts pouring. But Muluka, those who have an issue with that seem to point to the fact that he's holding a position that is within the presidency, a position that should give national unity. You know, you should not just speak about the mountain. What about the other 40-plus tribes who are in Kenya? Does it mean that the deputy president should, you know, what exactly do you think about this whole issue?
Well, apart from, of course, I would say former Vice President Daniel Arap Moi and former Vice President Dr. Mudi Awori, all the other vice presidents and deputy presidents have played largely within their own spaces. There is a footnote on William Ruto to that effect. But Gachagua's sin has been that he has been tactless. He has been very hugely loud, saying what everybody knows to be the truth, but which should not be said. Daniel Arap Moi gravitated across the country without the kind of challenge with his boss that William Ruto and other deputy presidents would countenance. Ruto was, of course, everywhere in the country, doing what people are saying Gachagua should have been doing, and that got him into trouble with his boss. His boss went on to say, huyu kijana Ruto anatangatanga kila mahali in the country. So you travel around the country, you are damned. You don't travel around the country, you are damned. But President Kenyatta allowed his vice president to move around the country because he had figured out the succession game, and he wanted Vice President Moi to have that opportunity to gel with the country. The rest of the people were confined to their spaces, and as they remained in those spaces, they were quiet. They did not make noise. Uncle Mudi also gravitated across the country, and his boss, Mwai Kibaki, did not have an issue with him. But the difference between Uncle Mudi and some of those who came after him was that Mudi focused on development issues as assigned to him by his boss, but these others have been involved with politicking, and that has not helped.
Interesting. So, Olo, was it a mistake for Mount Kenya region to enter the Kenya Kwanza administration without a political party? And equally, the person who might be replacing Gachagua, if indeed he's impeached, we've had talk in town, is coming from the mountain. Will he be inheriting a poison chalice where, you know, he's seen what happened to his predecessor? He's definitely on a short leash, quote unquote.
I think that the learning, now is back to you, the learning is that we don't learn. Ruto suffered the same when he abandoned URP for TNA and eventually for Jubilee. He realized that not having a party is very, very expensive. So he had to go back to form UDA. The Mount Kenya abandoned Jubilee or indeed any other party and said they are going into UDA direct. They have just reaped what Ruto reaped. So basically we are again very, very consistent. Our politics are founded on betrayal. So if you go into a pact, be sure that you will be betrayed. So how do you prepare yourself? Ask Raila and Kibaki on the MOU they had. It was the first thing for it to be abandoned. So we have built our politics around betrayal, around deceit, around trickery and such like stuff. So we must begin to learn that when you are in this kind of business, you are negotiating with a knife at the back, at your back, because that's the nature of this business. So Mount Kenya is having to go into a thinking and realizing that, wait, next time we go into this political warfare, we must arm ourselves with enough political guns, if we say anything like that, and enough political bullets, because you must organize in such a way that you do not put all your eggs in one basket, to the extent that when things go bad, it goes bad. Of course, you can say that not everything has gone bad because the members of parliament today in the mountain have said they have their own king. The question is, that when push comes to shove, if you call elections today, how many of those fellows who are saying they have a king will survive it?
Interesting. Gentlemen, allow us to take a short break. That's just a teaser of the conversation we're set to have that touches on the case against Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua.